Chief McDonnell, please.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I look around here and I didn't know that a lot of the people who are here today would be here, so it's a humbling experience to be up here talking about leadership when we have so many leaders looking back at us who've been tried and tested in a number of different fields, so thank you for coming today. Talking about what is leadership, and you think about that, is it something that you have to take on when it's an abrupt crisis? When you get that call at 3 o'clock in the morning, we have an officer down, and you get in there, and yeah, you better be a leader when you get in there and be able to tap into the leadership that everybody else brings to the table as well. Or is it a headline when you wake up in the morning, like this morning in my town, Long Beach cop held an abuse case, and you get those frequently, unfortunately, and how you deal with that and the fallout from that both internally and in the community. Or is it like a budget crisis where, in my case, in Long Beach, in the last 2 years, we've reduced the number of officers by 20%, the number of civilian support staff by 25%, and yet the demands haven't changed. It's still go, 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 drive down crime and do all of the other things, the counterterrorism overlay that we're now all expected to do as well, and be able to do it as well or better than we ever were. The expectations on all of us have never been higher. And we are kind of a victim of our own success. We've had almost 10 years of steady crime decline. And so we've created a set of expectations in the public that they're going to continue to go that way. You look at the murder numbers we've had going back to 1992, which was the high point in most of our cities, and you look at where we are in relation to that today, it's a fraction of the murders that we had back in those days. And yet now that is the current expectation. So we have to manage those expectations as we move forward with less. All of those things are crises, but they're all opportunities for us too. If we take a deep breath, take a step back and say, how do I turn this negative into a positive? I think the key is knowing when to step in and when to step back and monitor and guide people who are in that position right underneath you or throughout the organization, so you help develop them. A good leader doesn't jump in and take over and say, okay, I'm here, I got it. A good leader takes the time to step back and make sure that the next generation is as prepared as past generations were to be able to handle whatever crisis comes along. I hope that today we can have a dialogue, and it's not just us talking to a group, but rather drawing all of the experience and expertise that we have right here in this room. It'll make for a better morning. I look at the budget issues that we're all dealing with, and if you talk to anybody, and certainly in the policing profession, and say, what's your biggest single problem, they'll all probably say the budget, because it is that bad at this point. But that comes down to choices that we have to make, and how do we set up those choices. And we can say, oh, woe is me, I don't have the money I used to have, I can't do the job, and certain places around the country, as you watch it, there's departments that have said, okay, we're not going to do these 50 things anymore. We're not going to take reports for these 50 type of crimes. Well, geez, you've just given the bad guys out there the 50 crimes they can now do without being investigated. So we have to think before we speak. And although we may get frustrated, and that sometimes may tend to drive what we say, we have to take that step back and that deep breath and be able to remember that we speak for the city. We speak for the men and women who lay down so much every day for what we do, that what we say must be measured. And looking at our various audiences internally, in the community, the media, but also the people that are out there trying to caper every day. They're hearing and watching what we're saying as well and taking guides to see what they're going to do next as well. Yeah, that opportunity I talked about, we got to take advantage of that and seize this as an opportunity to be able to be innovative, to be creative, to find ways to do things that we weren't able to do before. Generally, if particularly, and I think the policing, nursing, cultures like that, we have a tendency to maintain the status quo because it worked, it's time-tested, and, you know, why change something, fix something that's not broken? Well, when crisis comes along, there's an opportunity to maybe be able to realize some change that we wouldn't have done without that crisis. So a good leader will step in and seize that opportunity to be able to make some of the changes that maybe you see would be better for the organization than the way things have been done. There's an opportunity to motivate in spite of the challenges. And sometimes that's a great motivation tool in itself, to be able to say, nobody thinks we can do this because we don't have the resources. Let's show them. And you'd be surprised how people rise to the occasion. I look at where we are today versus where we were prior to 9/11. The collaboration that was forced by 9/11. Let's take advantage of that as well. We're a proud group, And we have a tendency to say, you know what, I got a problem, I got it, I'll take care of it. When in fact there's a bunch of experts right around us that had we just reached out, we wouldn't be dealing with it alone. And whether it's on the counterterrorism front, whether it's on the crime front, whether it's on sharing ideas like today on leadership and how we manage an organization, we have so many experts all around us. We have not only within the policing profession, but interdisciplinary, and today's a good example of that, where what works in one field may work well in another field, but we won't know unless we reach out and ask as well. I look at the opportunities that we have as a takeaway today, you know, to be able to change business cards, to be able to leave here with resources that we didn't have when we walked in the door in the morning. And whether it's on that side of the room or this side of the room, we're all on the same team. We're all trying to do the same thing. So let's all share what we can today, and there'll be a greater value out of this morning, I hope. But a sincere thank you for having us up down to be able to speak to the issue, and thank you for coming out and sharing what you have with us as well. Thank you.